Hello again, welcome back to Shed Talk, my weekly magazine video series looking at the keeping, breeding and showing of caged birds. For those of you that are regular viewers, you'll know that I've been away on holiday for a couple of weeks. I had an absolutely fabulous time, but it's back in the bird room and back to producing those normal weekly Shed Talk updates from my two bird rooms. Thanks to those of you that have stayed with the channel or have joined it whilst I've been away, much appreciated. If you're not yet a subscriber to the channel and you've just stumbled across us, I do try to produce weekly general bird keeping videos. The vast majority of those, or the main focus of those I suppose, is on the exhibition style budgerigar that I'm sure you can hear behind me, but we also have a look at fifes, and I also keep a number of zebra finches. So like I say, if you're not yet a subscriber, please do subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like if you enjoy the videos. So what have we got in this particular episode? Well, like I say, I'm just back, so we're going to focus on what I do when I get back from my holidays. Well, firstly, I'd like to say a big thank you to Scott, who was the main person who looked after the birds while I was away. Did a splendid job. Birds looked in really good health when I got back, so thank you to Scott, but also thanks to my brother Richard, who did one of the days when unfortunately Scott couldn't look after them. So anyway, like I say, generally it was successful whilst away. I did lose a couple of birds, but they were birds that in all honesty were fairly old. One of them, just before I went away, actually looked a bit off colour, and I was wondering whether it was going to make it through the 2 weeks, so that wasn't expected. I also lost a very old gold breast that was out in the finch and five flight. That also sadly passed away while I was away. But other than that, you know, there was no real major worries. When I came back, first thing I noticed was there was lots of noise, as you can hear now, lots of noise in the shed, which meant that the birds were generally in good health. You know, if they're making lots of noise, I always think that's a good sign. So anyway, once I came back, it's almost the reverse, I suppose, as when I'm going away. The first thing I did was, or the main focus of coming back is really giving the cages a good clean out. So I'm spending a little while doing that. So I've cleaned out the smallest of the cages. That's had a real good clean and a real good scrub. I am about to do the two main budgerigar flights that are behind me, and then I will move out to the outside flight where the five sand finches are. So I did it in that order because when I came in, those were the way they looked generally in terms of what needed to be done. Obviously on the first day, the other thing that I've done is cleaned out all of the food and seed dishes. You may remember that before I went away, I changed them over to slightly larger feeders so that the person looking after them didn't have to worry too much about feeding them every day. Dishes that are going to last a couple of days at least, probably a little bit longer. So those have now come out of the flights, and I've replaced them with my normal daily trays that I use. So the feeders that were in there have now all been scrubbed and cleaned and packed back away until the next time I go away. But the other things, like the water dishes and the other trays, are now being cleaned out regularly. So they've all had a good scrub, a very good clean, just to make sure that there's no bacteria left on them from the period that I've been away. So that was the first couple of days, I suppose. The first day was giving those a good clean out, and over the next few days it's giving the flights a good clean out. The other thing I've of course done is I've moved them back onto the normal feeding regime that I, as a general maintenance feeder, that I use across the shed, and So you may, again, for those of you that watched the video prior to me going away, what I had done is move them onto a basic feed diet, both in here and outside, rather than all the normal soft feed and tonic feed that I give them. I've now moved back onto the normal routine, so of giving them a general feed that I use, budgie feed in the main flights that I use in here, but also I have started to give them a soft feed and the budgerigar tonic feed that I also use in each of the flights. So they've started to get that again. I've introduced baths back into the flights. You might be able to just make out one of the baths behind me there. As soon as I put it in, they started to use it. So those are being used. I've give the canaries a bath out in the outside flight. That was the first thing that I did, and of course the canaries jumped straight in that, and I think some of the finches used it a little bit as well. So that's the other thing that has happened, is I've started to reintroduce them to their normal soft feed regime, and they all seem to have enjoyed that, particularly the soft feed. Less so the tonic feed, but the soft feed, they all went straight down and were straight at it, so which is always nice to see. So that's the other thing that I've done since I've been back, is looked at the feeding regime and got them back into that. Of course, water's now being changed daily. So that's the main thing that's happened in here since I've come back off holiday. It's only been a couple of days, like I say, and I'm trying to get this video out in between doing that. You may remember that prior to going away, we did have the Oxford 1910 show. I did manage to capture a couple of short clips of the birds that were out there, or that were at that show. So we'll take a quick look at those now. I hope you enjoyed that little look at the Oxford 1910 Young Bird Show. Numbers were down a little bit disappointed about the numbers, but I guess that's the same for a number of shows across the country. Anyway, congratulations to the winners. I must admit, despite the numbers being down, the quality of the birds on show was very good, and in particular the best budgerigar at the show that belonged to Mr. Bob McCabe, a lovely looking bird, one that I think we'd all like in our sheds. Anyway, big thank you to those who took the time to enter birds at that particular show. What have we got coming up in the future episodes? Well, in the next episode I'm going to start getting the budgerigars out, and I'm going to start trying to sort through them a little bit earlier than I normally do this. I normally do this in September, but given that I finished the breeding season a little bit early because I was going away on holiday, that meant that the birds are all a little bit further forward than normal, so it gives me a chance to have a look at them a little bit earlier. So like I say, in the next episode we'll get some of the birds out from the flight, have a look at them, a little bit of an assessment for me to see which ones I'm likely to keep and which ones are likely to go. If you don't want to miss that episode, then of course make sure you are a subscriber and make sure you hit the bell so you'll get notifications of when it's released. But until then, as always, do stay safe, enjoy your birds.